The Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
The Full Melt.
This morning, public health officials are struggling to respond to a surge in overdoses from a designer drug known as Spice. This man-made alternative to marijuana is sold online or in convenience stores, often as potpourri or incense. Jerika Duncan is here with how users of this illicit drug are filling hospital emergency rooms. Jerika, good morning.
Good morning, Gail. The Drug Enforcement Administration classifies some of the chemicals found in Spice and other marijuana knockoffs as controlled substances. Since January, Spice-related calls to poison control centers are coming in at a rate almost 4 times higher than this time last year. They're sold in shiny and colorful plastic packets and have innocuous-sounding names like Spice, Scooby Snacks, Mad Monkey, and Green Giant. But the dried leaves and herbs inside have been sprayed with a dangerous chemical concoction meant to mimic THC, the active ingredient in marijuana.
The fact that it's bringing a lot more people to the emergency room.
Dr. Ruben Almeida has treated several overdose cases. Do you think people actually think this is safer than other drugs or other forms of marijuana?
I think they think that they hear the word marijuana and they think it's a safe drug, but they don't actually connect that to that it's a man-made synthetic marijuana, and the effects are going to be that much harsher.
Hospitals have reported dramatic increases in spice-related visits across the country. It has sickened more than 160 patients in New York over just a 9-day period. In Alabama, 462 people were sent to the ER in 5 weeks. 2 of them died. And in Mississippi, 473 people were hospitalized. It's also suspected in 7 deaths in the state. These 2 brothers from southern Mississippi spent several days in medically induced comas after smoking spice earlier this month. Users report experiencing seizures and tremors, hallucinations and psychotic episodes, suicidal and other harmful thoughts.
I just felt sinking in a hole, watching everything around me just repeat over and over and over again. It was a horrible experience. I was incoherent and I couldn't move. They had to carry me, put me in a car, and they took me to the hospital. Synthetic
marijuana can be smoked or brewed into a tea and is produced in the U.S. as well as overseas.
It's going to be pushed more, we believe, because it is such a high profit margin. Some estimate up to 3 times as large profit margin than marijuana.
The chemicals used are constantly changing. In 2009, there were just 2 known types of synthetic marijuana substances. Now, there are more than 300.
Because it's a man-made molecule in some clandestine laboratory that has no quality control, you may not actually be getting exactly what you're buying.
Public health officials warn that the packets sometimes also contain pesticides and rat poison. They don't know yet if the current uptick in hospital visits is due to increased use of synthetic marijuana or if it's a sign that a new, more potent version of the drug has hit the streets.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
It's the Full Melt.
Give me a break. The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. thefullmelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
Hey, welcome to another edition of the Full Melt Show, where you get the full melt, the whole scoop, the 9 yards, the kit and caboodle on marijuana news, culture, entertainment, lifestyle. Is there a lifestyle? Am I living the marijuana lifestyle? I don't know. I'm pretty sure I am. Are you living the marijuana lifestyle? Is there a marijuana lifestyle? You know, I got into this for, I don't know, recreational reasons when I was a younger man. And now I'm into it for the medical reasons. Seems like I'm not alone. Where are you in the mix? Or do you give a rat's? Because a lot of people don't. But it seems like there's nowhere you can go to escape the marijuana news. It seems to be everywhere. It's tied up everywhere from the presidential election right down to local politics. And all politics are local, aren't they? I mean, it depends on where you're at, what part of the country, as to which presidential, contender is in the top of the polls. It varies from state to state. It'll do that all the way up through the election cycle. In fact, it might do it right through election night 2016. There's another election coming around before then in 2015. And there's some stuff happening in Ohio. There's news happening in Ohio today. I saw news happening everywhere, in fact. The Washington Post was reporting news. The Huffington Post was reporting news. CBS, I got to give credit to CBS Morning News for that little piece that you heard at the beginning of the show about Spice. Is Spice making a comeback? Texas making the news today. Kansas making the news today. Seems like Florida making the news today. You can't get away from the marijuana subject, especially if you sit down to the evening news, the morning news, the news on the 24-hour news cycles, whether it's Fox or whether it's CNN or MSNBC or wherever you go for the news. I'd like to know where you go for the news. I think when you're looking for news on this subject, you'll come here because we've funneled it all right down into a small little spot where you can get it all. So in honor of that thought, that idea, that compassion today, I thought we'd have a news roundtable. So it's kind of like a marijuana meets the press. Or if you would, alternately, meet the press or meet the marijuana press. What do you think about that? Because I could go on talking about the news all day long, and I'm just one rambling head. I mean, I'm just one guy, one opinion, one point of view. Those are pretty myopic optics, if you ask me, if it's all by myself. So I'd rather not do that. I'd rather bring in some people that, have a different point of view or maybe the same point of view. Get their opinion as it relates to what they know about the news, because they write about it all the time. So when we come back after the commercial break, which incidentally seems to be quite some time away, I might fill a little time here with one of our guests in advance. We'll see. Larry Gabriel, he's the editor of The American Cultivator, published by the nonprofit group My Compassion. Will be on the program on our news panel. Also, the editor of Hybrid.Life will be on the program as well as part of our panel. Maria Green, and the program will also be blessed with the likes of Rick Thompson from the Compassion Chronicles. Rick, are you there? Rick, are you there? Can you hear me? Oops, I didn't push the button right.
I sure can, Steve. I just had the mute on. Sorry about that.
No, that was me. I did it too, so we did it at the same time. You were muted out, and I didn't push the button, so...
Steve, I'm glad to be on the program. I always enjoy listening to Full Melt, and it's always a special privilege to be on the program.
So, I got a little bit of time to kill before the break, and during the break, I'll get Larry and Maria on the line as well. But it seems, would you agree with me that the news is inescapable? You can't run away from the pot news.
Well, you cannot. They're absolutely right. And CBS just released a poll nationally that showed 53% of Americans support legalization. When news sources and editors and media persons see that kind of interest on a national basis, they make it their business to put that news in their paper or on their publication because they know it sells.
Now, your publication is an online publication, right?
It sure is. I work for a lot of regular print magazines as well. I write for Maria Green's Hybrid.Life, by the way, and I occasionally have pieces in High Times Magazine and Larry Gabriel's American Cultivator, too. But the Compassion Chronicles is exclusively an online presence.
Look, we can not only not escape the marijuana news, we cannot escape the Rick Thompson.
Well, I've that's been said about me in a very negative way a couple of times before, but I'm sure you said it with love, Steve.
You're a news stalker, aren't you?
Something like that. A stalker of some kind. Let's just put news in front of that for now.
Well, I think it'll be an interesting program. There's all kinds of stuff going on. And, in the larger scheme of things, unless we stop and consider these issues, because these are issues happening all across the country. It's not just in your state or in my state. It's in all states.
Well, and as we find out, when you start looking at the news, it's an international phenomenon. we know about the research going on in Israel and how scientific studies are going on in different countries and GW Pharmaceuticals in the United Kingdom. But honest and truly, when you start looking into this, you see things from South America, from African nations. It's global. It can never be stopped. The genie will not go back in the bottle.
I've been saying that for the past few weeks now, repetitively. The genie ain't going back. You can stuff and you can stuff, but that bottle is not containing the giant any longer. Wow,
you can stuff the giant in the bottle. Cool. That's absolutely right, Steve. Your assessment is correct. It's just grown beyond the ability to halt. And at this point, you see law enforcement and government agents trying now to just control and not necessarily to stop, which is a completely different message.
Well, it's going to slide downhill, isn't it? I mean, gravity has a hold of this issue. This is the reason the genie isn't going back in the bottle is because you'd have to fight natural forces.
It's now mainstream. When society adopts a policy, then that happens regardless of what governmental sanction takes place or is denied. So, to be honest with you, there's no way anybody can stop it now. And that's a good thing, too, because what we're talking about is a substance that doesn't cause deaths, that's got a million different uses, that people have demonstrated the health benefits from. And also, we don't need another way for the government to try and control what we take and what we put in our bodies and how we regulate our lives.
I did not have this on the list, but now that you mentioned it, as we're getting ready to go into break, this is not on the list of topics that I was going to bring up for the panel, so I guess it's fair game for you and I for now. Did you see the thing about Rand Paul preaching off to the conservative people, the extremely conservative people, that he's promising not to end the war on drugs because they're all afraid of that? Did you see that story?
Well, I saw an analysis of that, and what the analysis said was that it's possible that he could be couching his statements so that he's not including marijuana in that whole war on drugs thing. I'm still a little concerned in any person with Rand Paul's potential to be a president saying things like we need to perpetuate a failed policy that's done nothing but put innocent people in prison for decades now. But it may not be quite as horrendous as it might seem on the surface.
Well, Rick, we're hitting the break now. I'm going to get on the phone and get Larry Gabriel connected in from The American Cultivator, from My Compassion, and then also get Maria Green on the line from Hybrid.life or Hybrid Life Magazine. So hang on with me through the break. I'm going to put you on hold, and we'll get around to the marijuana news panel. Meet the marijuana press next on the Full Melt Show. Stay right there. Don't go away.
You're getting the Full Melt.
It's not easy out there, but it can be easier. And when it comes to medical marijuana in Michigan and chronic pain management, Dr. Bob Townsend, renowned for his patient advocacy and deep understanding of how patients and medical marijuana certifications fit together, makes it his hallmark to educate and provide the best holistic treatment for your condition. His knowledgeable staff makes you feel warm and welcome, and Dr. Bob makes you feel well. With locations across the state in Cadillac and Gaylord, Kalamazoo, Marquette, Mount Pleasant, Muskegon, Saginaw, Traverse City, you can't beat the convenience and feeling you get knowing you have someone on your side that cares. Denali Healthcare is on the web at denalihealthcaremi.com. Get answers to your holistic health questions or schedule an appointment now by calling 989-339-4464. Chronic pain management and holistic health answers is what they do. It's all they do. DenaliHealthcareMI.com. Get your certification and peace of mind now by making an appointment with Dr. Bob Townsend at 989-339-4464.
Got something to hide? Cannatalk offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Cannatalk is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Cannatalk is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at Cannatalk.com. Visit Cannatalk.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
They're parasites. They've got no contribution to this society. They're preying on our community and our kids. And it's going to end badly.
We've got exactly $100,000 in cash in the back of this car. I bet there's guys right there in that prison for doing just what we're about to do.
I want the Breckenridge Cannabis Club to be a household name.
This is us pioneering a new industry.
He's going after every resort town in Colorado. His plan is brilliant.
This is a big boy operation now.
We are not the Amsterdam of the Rockies. We're Breckenridge.
Absolutely unbelievable to us that this has happened so quickly.
That's when the town erupted.
All hell can break loose.
I think we have an image to protect.
The powerful elite has definitely put the pressure on.
Everyone is playing everyone.
They're going to have a target painted on their back.
That is a real threat.
There's $2 billion to be had next year. I plan to take more than my fair share.
High Profits, Sunday night at 10 Eastern on CNN.
Does your dog or cat suffer with joint disorders, arthritis, anxiety, cancer, chronic pain, or other ailments? Hemp or cannabis-based medicinal products are now legal. Why should your pets go without the same options that we have available? Try Sativus, a daily hemp oil with CBD. Sativus is quality inspected and made in the USA. Easy-to-use drops are applied directly to your pet's food. For your pet's wellness, try Sativus drops. Ask for Sativus at your local pet store or learn more at petpain.com.
With this warmer weather, I get more active. Headaches and pains keep me from doing things I enjoy, like golfing and working outside my yard. Toledo Hemp Center's new location, 1415 Sylvania Avenue, has shown me there is an alternative to pharmaceutical drugs. I use CBD, cannabidiol, infused hemp lotions, oral sprays, and topical oils. Thank you, Toledo Hemp Center, for helping me restore and maintain my health with no side effects and no high. Find out more at ToledoHempCenter.com.
Can you give us a liner? Can you tell us, say, hey, this is Tommy Chong and you're listening to the Full Melt Show?
To the
The full
show?
The Full Melt Show. Like
Full Melt Show.
Full Melt.
Well, the Whole Mouth Show. I'm deaf. I'm starting to hear different things.
That's okay.
The Whole Mouth Show.
No, the full.
Is that it?
F-U-L-L. The Full Melt.
Oh, the Full Mouth.
Full Melt. M-E-L-T.
No,
the Full Melt.
Full. Oh, Full Mouth. M-O-U. I'm sorry. Give it to me again.
The
full. I got that. What's the second one?
Full. F-U-L-L.
Uh-huh.
Melt. M-E-L-T.
The Full Melt.
Yes.
I got that one. Okay. Hey, this is Tommy Chong, and you're listening to the Full Melt Show on... What are you on, man?
It's the Full Melt Radio Show. So it's Meet the Marijuana Press. That's what we're calling the segment today. Maybe we'll rotate around, find different publishers from different locations, make this a regular feature if this works out good. The first part about this working out good is that we've got the audio problem cleared up with the phone line. So let's just make sure everybody can hear everybody. First, I'll meet our panelists, introduce you to them. With me on the phone right now is Maria Green from Hybrid Life Magazine. Hello, Maria. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi.
Does it sound okay?
It sounds great.
All right, and then I'm going to slide this one up and say hello to Larry Gabriel from the American Cultivator. Hello, Larry.
Hello, Steve, and everybody else.
Can you guys hear each other?
I heard Maria.
Okay, great. Now here's the tricky part. I'm going to double punch you, so there we go, so you don't go anywhere. I think, wait a minute. There we go. Now I'm going to add Rick Thompson to the line, who we've already met in the program. Oh, and I lost Maria. See, oh, God.
No, you didn't lose me. I'm still here.
No, I lost Maria when I punched you up.
Hi, Rick. How are you going? Maria. Hello. Hey, Larry. Good to talk to you.
Maria will call
Good
back.
to talk to you.
You know, she's got to go through the stupid hold cycle again. You ever been on the phone getting ready to try and call one, like your service provider, and you get on that stupid hold mechanism, and you can't get out of there? It's just like an endless life cycle. You're just on that coaster forever. Anyway, I think she's got to go back through the cycle again. So welcome to the program, Larry and Rick. We'll get Maria back here in a second. See, this is the part about making it all go right. So far, it's my fault. It went wrong. Everybody else did everything right. I did the thing wrong. So I'm hoping I can get... There she is. This time I think I got you in right, Rick. If I lose you, Rick, just nail me later. All right, hang on a second. Do I get this right? I hope I get this right. I'm going to... All right, I think you're good. There, now I got it together. Maria, welcome back to the program. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
That's okay.
So you and Rick can hear each other, yes? Say something.
I'm still here, yes.
Go ahead and say something.
I can hear Rick, yeah.
Okay, everybody's good.
All right.
I think we got the problem solved. And we can marshal forward with this. So the marijuana news, it's everywhere. Would you guys agree? Yeah, so Rick said yes.
Yes, indeed.
Maria?
Yes, absolutely.
I was looking through the news today, and just today, there seemed to be a lot of stuff. Topping the list for me was another group in Ohio to confuse things a bit with the existing 4 ballot drives. There's already 4. Channel 3 out there, WKYC, reporting a proposed constitutional amendment to legalize marijuana and hemp in Ohio has cleared the first step in the path to making the ballot. The Ohio Attorney General's office says it certified Thursday that the group Better for Ohio provided a fair and truthful summary of the proposal and had 1,000 required signatures for its petition. It would still have to be evaluated by the Ohio Ballot Board and meet a broader signature collection requirement, of course, the giant signature gathering campaign they have to do to appear on the ballot. So it's one of 5 marijuana-related constitutional amendment proposals submitted to the Attorney General's office in the past few months. Only 2 so far have cleared the initial hurdle. The first, of course, being Responsible Ohio. Let me ask first, Maria Green, what do you think about all of that?
I think that it's going to be really interesting watching how things play out in Ohio this year, and I know that I'm watching real closely. We've already done a piece on the first 3 that we heard out of Ohio, and now it seems like they're muddling the waters a bit, and I'm not sure that anything's going to go anywhere in Ohio if they just keep adding new proposals.
So you're saying splinter groups are not the way to go. Band together, united we stand. Is that your message?
Absolutely.
Larry Gabriel, what do you got to say?
Well, you know what? I think Better for Ohio is indeed better than the Responsible Ohio plan.
Have you read the plan?
I've read a little bit of it, and there's a couple of things that stand out to me. And one of them is that they have more grows allowed. And Responsible Ohio has 10 grows, and Better for Ohio has 40 grows. And they certainly allow people to grow at home. So I think that's a better approach than tying it up to 10 growers.
Rick Thompson, is Better for Ohio better? Rick? Mr. Thompson, did we lose you?
Is Responsible Ohio better for Ohio? I don't really think so.
No. The question was, is Better for Ohio better? But that's the name of the new ballot petition drive that just got certified.
I've learned a little bit about that. I agree with Larry on that Better for Ohio is better for Ohio. The concept of having a reserved business opportunity that can only be taken advantage of by a certain few is really kind of an un-American concept. We're seeing this in several different states, including Michigan as a proposal. I'm not sure where these people are coming from. I think Better Ohio is a better program.
Well, I think it's better in that there's 40 grows. Doesn't it still kind of wrap things up only as on the grow side for just those 40 growers? Larry, would you know about that?
Yeah, I think I think so. I said better. I didn't say best.
Okay, right. There you go. There's a tricky answer for you. Are you a politician or an editor there, Larry?
I'm an editor.
Okay, I was just checking.
Yeah.
So it seems that furthering this news about Ohio, that some news was announced this week. This story was out of Cincinnati.com. It seems that Responsible Ohio has a new investor. Former Kroger executive investing in would-be marijuana farm, says the Cincinnati.com publication. The former top lawyer at Kroger is investing in the Butler County farm that will grow marijuana if Ohio voters approve a constitutional amendment to legalize the drug. Responsible Ohio, the group behind the amendment, on Friday touted Paul Heldman's endorsement of its proposal. This particular amendment would legalize pot but limit commercial cannabis growing in the state to 10 farms run by backers of the proposal. What do you have to say about that situation? Isn't that interesting that, you're starting to get some revelation of the people behind what people are calling in that instance? Oh, gosh, now we got the buzz was getting terrible there for a second. Getting behind these ballot proposals where there's a monopoly involved, or what's been touted as a monopoly. It's the popular term for Responsible Ohio's ballot proposal. Rick Thompson. Rick, are you there?
Yes, I sure am. The perception of a monopoly is a tough one to beat when it comes to the media, and that's why sometimes it's difficult to change messages in midstream. So I like the fact that we're attracting a different type of donor to some of these programs, different type of participants. Larger scale businesses can be a big advantage as far as a partner goes, but not if it comes at the cost of citizen rights and citizen advantage. So anytime we talk about getting big money involved, it always raises the hairs on the back of my neck just a little bit for that reason.
Larry Gabriel, big investors, big news?
You know what? I don't think it's big news because it's kind of been creeping for a while. And the fact that they're at this point where they actually have initiatives that are out there shows that they've been behind the scenes for a while. And you're actually seeing a lot of movement in corporate America of people who are moving from the traditional corporate environment into the marijuana thing because basically they want to make money and they see a way to try to make money.
Maria Green from Hybrid Life, do you see that this is a big corporate slide? Do you see the guys being attracted, the CEOs from other companies, corporations, even former executives like the one from Kroger here, taking a bigger role in marijuana business?
Well, absolutely. There's such a big, it's becoming very aware right now that there's big money in marijuana. There's even a show, I just heard the commercial for a high profit show. And so everyone knows that this is where the money's at, this is where the investing is at, and when we're talking about big CEOs from big companies, we know that they're driven by profits, and so they're going to go where the profits are leading them.
So there was another story here that really caught my eye and kind of, made me shudder a little bit. It may do the same thing to you. This story is out of Florida. It's from their Channel 10 local affiliate. Mary Kay Letourneau got one-upped by a Florida teacher. So get this whole rigmarole, because it left my jaw a little bit on the ground. Palm Springs principal arrested in car with student marijuana, says the publication at local10.com. Palm Springs, Florida. A married Palm Beach County principal has been arrested after she was caught partially clothed in a marijuana-filled car with a student, police said. Christina Morton, 45, of Wellington, was arrested Wednesday in Palm Springs. She's the principal at Mavericks High School of Palm Springs, a charter school. This is a charter school. Police were called to a report of people involved in sexual activity in a car and found Morton with a high school senior. When Morton opened the door, her shirt was unbuttoned, exposing part of her chest, police said. Morton told police that she had just met the teenager. The student told police that Morton was his principal. Officers smelled marijuana inside the vehicle. Morton and the student were arrested. Morton faces possible possession of marijuana charges. Let me ask you first. You seem to be giggling about this, Maria. What do you got to say about that?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it pisses me right off. The fact that they, at the very end, talk about only the charges for marijuana that she might be facing, never mind the fact that she's cohorting with a student in her car. I think that they could have left the whole marijuana thing out of it. I've said this for a long time, and I'll continue to say it again. There are good people who smoke marijuana. There are bad people that smoke marijuana. One does not cause the other. And to continue to sensationalize marijuana use in that type of a story just furthers the propaganda.
Rick Thompson, is this sensationalization over another story? Because it seems like they lost the headline there, didn't they?
They did, and I think Maria's right. I mean, this is a story that's worthy of note without the marijuana component. It's really about teacher-student relations. The fact that there was the smell of marijuana was the very last thing that you mentioned because it was the least significant. We've gone away from the fact that, they were smoking pot and then doing something now. It's no longer a concern. So,
all right. So, Larry Gabriel, is this Channel 10 down there, local10.com, blowing things out of proportion, blowing smoke, so to speak?
Knowing what the media does in general, I'm not surprised to see that it's happening. And certainly, if there was a sexual act taking place, I believe that's rape. And so they should have...
Wait. Is it rape if it's a senior student? Maybe he's 18. Who knows?
Well, if he's 18, then it's certainly very bad judgment by a school principal. And
which would be the headline, I would think.
Yeah, and it should be the headline. The marijuana part is something that is going to get overblown by the media because that's what the media does.
Well, we're talking about Florida here. Florida is, a conservative land yet, even though, the polling says that they support medical marijuana. It's still about a teetering totter, isn't it, when it comes to the retail thing and whether or not people should have access to this, let alone the principal of a charter school with a student in a car that she just met, supposedly.
Well, actually, in Florida, medical marijuana is a CBD-only law. When they voted on medical marijuana last year, which it would have to have been a constitutional amendment in the state, they got over 60% of the people who voted in favor of it, but because of it being a state constitutional change, they had a higher level that they would have to get. So certainly the majority is there, but they didn't have the level they needed to get for a constitutional amendment.
Florida's a very conservative place. Is it just playing devil's advocate, Rick Thompson and Maria Green? Wouldn't it be fair to say that hey, this is kind of new to them? You kind of expect media to lean in the conservative direction. Maria,
well,
Rick?
I suppose so. I suppose that this is a bit newer to them. But like you both said, the majority is there in favor of medical marijuana, and I think that should play out in the media as well, and it seems like it's not.
It seems like it's not playing out that way,
right.
I got you. All right. So if I can ask the three of you to hang on, we're getting ready to head into break here. I think the music should be starting any second. And we'll continue on with our press panel. Meet the Marijuana Press. We've got Larry Gabriel from The American Cultivator. We have Rick Thompson from thecompassionchronicles.com and Maria Green from the brand new hybrid.life. Hang on as we come back and explore more news in the marijuana field today in the paper and on television, and now on the radio. Here on The Full Melt Show, don't go away.
You're getting the full melt.
It started with Weed 1.
Some have called it a watershed moment.
Then came Weed 2.
It's absurd that we would have to do this to get medicine.
Now Dr. Sanjay Gupta is at it again, and he's reaching higher than ever with Weed 3.
I never thought I would be smoking weed in the hospital.
The movement behind it.
We demand this plant go through the process of the FDA.
The radical research.
I have to say, I'm kind of stunned.
Weed 3, the marijuana revolution.
Each week, Pot Pitch takes a look at different medical or legal pot business as they attempt to seek investment capital and partners in order to take their business to the next level. What do investors like?
And which entrepreneurs are shown the door?
Real venture capitalists, smart entrepreneurs, and exciting business models in a brand new industry, cannabis. Pot Pitch. Find out what this new marijuana industry will look like and who its players will be. Real deals, real people, real decisions. Pot Pitch at potpitch.com and featured on the Full Melt Radio Show.
Got something to hide? Cannatalk offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Cannatalk is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Cannatalk is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at cannatalk.com. Visit Cannatalk.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Does your dog or cat suffer with joint disorders, arthritis, anxiety, cancer, chronic pain, or other ailments? Hemp or cannabis-based medicinal products are now legal. Why should your pets go without the same options that we have available? Try Sativus, a daily hemp oil with CBD. Sativus is quality inspected and made in the USA. Easy-to-use drops are applied directly to your pet's food. For your pet's wellness, try Sativus drops. Ask for Sativus at your local pet store or learn more at petpain.com.
With this warmer weather, I get more active. Headaches and pains keep me from doing things I enjoy, like golfing and working outside my yard. Toledo Hemp Center's new location, 1415 Sylvania Avenue, has shown me there is an alternative to pharmaceutical drugs. I use CBD, cannabidiol, infused hemp lotions, oral sprays, and topical oils. Thank you, Toledo Hemp Center, for helping me restore and maintain my health with no side effects and no high. Find out more at ToledoHempCenter.com.
Leading medical researchers are coming to the conclusion that marijuana, pot, grass, whatever you want to call it, is probably the most dangerous drug in the United States, and we haven't begun to find out all of the ill effects, but they are permanent ill effects.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show. So welcome back to the program. It's Marijuana Meet the Press. We'll welcome back our esteemed panel, Larry Gabriel from The American Cultivator, Rick Thompson from thecompassionchronicles.com, and Maria Green from Hybrid Life. Hello.
Hello.
So here we got this other stuff. The harder side of punishment still being handed out for pot, while it's flowing like water in an adjacent state. So this story comes out of the Channel 4 affiliate, KFOR, at KFOR.com. Oklahoma man facing multiple life sentences for selling, possessing marijuana. This comes out of Enid, Oklahoma. An Oklahoma man is facing multiple life sentences after police searched his home and found marijuana. The 44-year-old man was arrested Thursday on account of possession with intent to distribute within 2,000 feet of a school. So that's 2,000 feet, not 1,000 like you'd normally hear being touted. 2 counts of distribution of a controlled substance and a misdemeanor count of possession of drug paraphernalia. He allegedly sold 4 grams of marijuana to undercover informants. After the purchase, the Enid Police Department served a search warrant on his home. When officers searched the home, they said they found a black Colorado marijuana container which had 3.3 grams of marijuana inside, a glass marijuana pipe, and a 5-gallon bucket containing other Colorado marijuana containers. One of the containers allegedly had 11 grams of marijuana. So this guy's facing up to life in prison, you guys. Let me ask Rick Thompson first. Is this something we should still be doing? Obviously, you're going to say no. But given that this is Oklahoma, should they be able to do this? Rick, are you there?
Yes, Steve, I sure am.
Did you catch the question?
I caught only a little bit of it. Could you repeat that, please?
Certainly. So I was just reading the story about, did you hear the story about the Enid, Oklahoma man? I read the story. I don't know if you can answer the question unless you heard the story.
I only heard part of the story. You may want to go right to Larry, then I apologize.
No,
you were focused for a second.
Yeah, that's okay. So there's a 44-year-old man in Oklahoma who sold some undercover weed from apparently a Colorado source to some people there. Colorado had nothing to do with this. I just thought it was interesting that he had some pot from Colorado. They did a search warrant. They busted the guy. He's looking at up to life in prison for this, probably because he's within 2,000 feet of a school. Is this something that Oklahoma should be doing?
Well, I definitely read that story. I know what you're talking about. The concept of the drug-free school zone is a great idea, but it also has to have its exceptions, too. When people are just accidentally in that zone without an intent to distribute, especially not with any contact to minors, then it really seems an extremely harsh penalty. Just like mandatory minimums, it paints everyone with a brush where we should be getting individual attention for each separate case in our court system.
Maria Green, about this Oklahoma case, what do you have to say?
I absolutely do not think that Oklahoma should be doing that. Neither should the federal government, but we see it all the time. I think the idea of somebody going to jail at all for marijuana is ludicrous, and it needs to be stopped. The fact that
your call has ended.
2,000 feet of a school, I mean, that 2,000 feet is a long ways. That's that could be up to 2 blocks. 2 city blocks away, and so that type of space that needs to be done away with.
It seems, incidentally, we've lost our call with Rick Thompson. I'm sure he'll call back. Larry Gabriel, this thing about Oklahoma and up to a life in sentence for what seems to be relatively small possession and or distribution charge within 2,000 feet of a school.
Well, 2,000 feet is more than 3 football fields distance. which to me seems kind of ridiculous. And on top, well, the whole thing is ridiculous for starters, because nobody should be going to jail for life for their involvement with marijuana. Nobody should be going to jail at all for their involvement with marijuana. However, those are the laws in that state. So it's something that people, have to be aware of, that, there are laws that will be applied to you. And that's part of the whole problem with this, prohibition in some states and no prohibition in the other states. And some states are medical marijuana states, and some states aren't medical marijuana states. And then the federal law is different than all of that. You know what? It's got to be stopped, and we need at least some level of uniform approach to this. And on top of that, even the people who are already in jail, I think there needs to be some type of amnesty discussed and figured out as the laws change. I know they're doing that, I believe, in Massachusetts. I believe there's some level of that going on in Colorado, but it's all a travesty.
Well, it's in the CNN High Profit series, right in the promo, Brian and Caitlin, who run that Breckenridge, Colorado dispensary, are riding in a car with $100,000 in cash in a duffel bag in the back, and they're driving past a prison, and Brian points out the prison that they're driving past on the expressway and says, "You see that right over there? I'll bet you there's a ton of people in prison right now for doing what we're about to do." And they were on their way to make a cash purchase of marijuana for their dispensary. It seems a little out of touch. It seems a little unfair, don't you think?
It is unfair.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Maria.
Oh, I was just saying, absolutely, it's unfair that the same standard isn't applied across the board. That some people are, missing out on their families and their freedom for doing the exact same thing that other people are getting rewarded in an amazing amount of money. That right there is absolutely unfair.
So I played a piece at the front. Did you get to respond, Larry, about that?
On what?
I think you did on the subject there. So
I believe I've responded on all subjects.
Okay, it's hard to keep track when you're juggling three guys and one of them's missing. I don't know. Rick disappeared on me. I don't know. He didn't call back yet. He may have lost his battery or something. Who knows? I heard him whispering there before I lost the signal, but we'll just press on. So is Spice making a comeback? At the beginning of the show, neither of you, but Rick had a chance to hear it. Neither of you had a chance to hear the piece that I played from CBS this morning. This morning they had a big piece about Spice making a comeback. And so I wanted to ask, I'll read a little bit out of the CBS News article for you so you can get familiar with it. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the subject in general. What I wanted to ask is the fact that this is, back in the news again. Is this good or bad news for marijuana education in general is my question. But just let me read a little bit from the article so that people can understand what happened. It seems like there's, while I'm waiting for it to pull up, it seems like there was some increase in hospitalization is the main story. Synthetic marijuana leads to nationwide spike in hospitalizations. A huge nationwide spike in hospitalizations last month caused by a class of drugs often called synthetic marijuana illustrates the potency and dangers of the chemicals used to make them and the shifty tactics authorities believed manufacturers are using to evade regulation. Poison Control Centers nationwide reported 359 cases in January of illnesses from synthetic cannabinoids, which mimic the effects of the main psychoactive ingredient in marijuana, but can be far more potent. Maria, do you have something to say about synthetic marijuana Spice and its effect on what we're trying to do with giving people the proper image about this subject?
Absolutely. I think that, we see the media over and over and over again calling this synthetic marijuana. And really, we need to start really pushing the fact that it's not about marijuana at all. It's about this completely different drug called Spice that is made in a very different way, and it is not the same as the marijuana that we use and that we're pushing for, because there's very real dangers of that, and there's not with real marijuana. And so in the media, we need to try and be pushing the fact that these are not the same thing, that whatever happens with this so-called synthetic marijuana, which is actually just spice, needs to be characterized as that's what happens with that drug, not this whole thing all together.
So you're saying it does confuse the message?
I think absolutely it does. Back before I was in this movement, I wasn't really aware of what was going on. I didn't really know a lot about marijuana. I was the epitome of a DARE graduate, and when I heard that message on the news that this was a synthetic marijuana, I absolutely thought that, well, if synthetic marijuana is bad, then the real marijuana must be bad too, and that they could all be lumped together, and that's absolutely not the case.
Easy to confuse, yes, Larry?
Yes, it's just unfortunate that nomenclature has been used. It may be something that the people who were manufacturing it put on it because they wanted to soften the image of what they were doing. But, I don't believe there's any cannabinoids in this spice stuff. They said synthetic cannabinoids. I've never heard of any cannabinoids or cannabinoids that are in it. Marijuana is a plant and it grows from the ground, and the spice is manufactured. So certainly it's like in the black sheep of the family or something like that. When you look at it, it's lumped together, and it should not be lumped together. It's just an unfortunate association.
I have a really hard time. I've got a baby boomer parent, parents, and I have a really hard time getting them to understand that marijuana and drugs being lumped together aren't all the same, that marijuana is not drugs and drugs is not marijuana. So I completely agree with both of you. It does confuse the message. I got a couple quick more questions in the news, and then being that our panel is all from Michigan, I wanted to give them a chance to talk about any Michigan news they wanted to throw in. Can you both stick around for a second?
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
All right, hang on. We'll be back with more on the Marijuana News panel coming up next on the Full Melt Show. Hang on.
You're getting the Full Melt.
Got something to hide? Cannatalk offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Cannatalk is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Cannatalk is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at Cannatalk.com. Visit Cannatalk.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Each week, Pot Pitch takes a look at different medical or legal pot business as they attempt to seek investment capital and partners in order to take their business to the next level. What do investors like?
And which entrepreneurs are shown the door?
Real venture capitalists, smart entrepreneurs, and exciting business models in a brand new industry, cannabis. Pot Pitch. Find out what this new marijuana industry will look like and who its players will be. Real deals, real people, real decisions. Pot Pitch at potpitch.com and featured on the Full Melt Radio Show.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
It started with Weed 1.
Some have called it a watershed moment.
Then came Weed 2.
It's absurd that we would have to do this to get medicine.
Now Dr. Sanjay Gupta is at it again, and he's reaching higher than ever with Weed 3.
I never thought I would be smoking weed in the hospital.
The movement behind it.
We demand this plant go through the process of the FDA.
The radical research.
I have to say, I'm kind of stunned.
Weed 3, the marijuana revolution.
They're parasites. They've got no contribution to this society. They're preying on our community and our kids. And it's going to end badly. We've got exactly $100,000 in cash in the back of this car. I bet there's guys right there in that prison for doing just what we're about to do.
I want the Breckenridge Cannabis Club to be a household name.
This is us pioneering a new industry.
He's going after every resort town in Colorado. His plan is brilliant.
This is a big boy operation now.
We are not the Amsterdam of the Rockies, we're Breckenridge.
Absolutely unbelievable to us that this has happened so quickly.
That's when the town erupted.
All hell can break loose.
I think we have an image to protect.
The powerful elite has definitely put the pressure on.
Everyone is playing everyone.
They're going to have a target painted on their back.
That is a real threat.
There's $2 billion to be had next year. I plan to take more than my fair share.
High Profits, Sunday night at 10 Eastern on CNN. It's the Full Melt radio show. So you can hear us here every Monday through Friday from 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you get a chance, go to the top of the page right there at thefullmelt.com. Like and follow us on both Facebook and Instagram. And then if you get a chance, click through the Spreaker site as well. Like and follow us there. It helps us proliferate the message. So today we're doing the Marijuana Think Tank. It's our friends and colleagues from, in my instance, colleagues from other media news organizations, in this case, the press. It's Marijuana Meet the Press, Maria Green and Larry Gabriel with us on the phone. Welcome back, both of you.
Hello.
So this one I wanted to call Texas Throws a Hard Right in Marijuana News. This is from KSAT, and I'll just follow through the story with you. Out of Austin, Texas, a proposal seeking full legalization of marijuana on religious grounds has cleared an unlikely legislative hurdle. Republican State Representative Dave Simpson, who incidentally I asked to be on the program today, but he was unavailable to because he's actually on the House floor debating, even at this hour. He's of Longview, argues that marijuana comes from God and therefore shouldn't be banned by government. The Tea Party stalwart has repeatedly championed what he calls the Christian case for legalization. His bill is House Bill 2165, languished for weeks before the House Criminal Jurisprudence Committee. 3 committee Democrats and 2 Republicans surprisingly voted to support it Wednesday, and it passed by 5-2. Larry Gabriel, is this a big change? Is this big news in Texas?
Well, it may be big news in Texas. I don't consider it a big change because it just passed a committee. And, there's been a lot of things that have, come out of committees that never actually made it to a vote or were voted down. So I would say it's a hopeful change. We'll see where it goes.
Isn't it, though? Don't you think that this is an historic change, at least by the part of the extremely conservative legislature in banding together a volley of their own to propose not just medical marijuana as a compassionate thing, as Christians would do, but to outright legalize it, saying God created this plant, you can't regulate it?
Well, it's surprising, but you know what? The public opinion is in favor of marijuana, and it doesn't surprise me that some legislators may decide to actually listen to the public.
Maria Green, is this Jesus for pot?
Well, if it's going to go through in Texas, then that's the way to do it. I think that there's very valid reasons why that was successful, why that did successfully come out of the committee. I think that those arguments are valid, and I think that that's what's going to, if it can be done in Texas, that's what's going to win them over. This is certainly something we haven't seen come out of any committee or House or legislative action down there. So I think that definitely is a change. It may not change what the constituents can do yet, but the fact that we haven't seen this before is definitely a welcome change.
It seems a new argument to me. You can have your Jesus and have your weed too. So Kansas is also...
I've heard it up here.
What's that? I'm sorry?
I've heard people say it up here too. I think it's fantastic that the legislature down there is kind of clinging to that.
Well, it certainly is a new argument. It's one that, we've heard it made with the RFRA proposal in Indiana, the bill that was all about being discriminatory against gays, et cetera. Really, that was the focus of the whole issue because they don't have any state protection there, so that when they passed their RFRA, it became a platform for people to discriminate. But in doing so, and also passing the RFRA, which is the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, if I'm not mistaken, some people have said that, hey, there's a protection then if you're going to say that government can't intrude on religious freedoms, then if marijuana is a sacrament of your church, you shouldn't be able to get it there either. You should be able to get that.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the other story. This out of the Kansas area. So Kansas has made the medical marijuana periscope, and I'll read to you. This is from BND.com. And it's the Bellevue News. So this is the story. That Kansas House passes bill on marijuana penalties and medical use. I mean, we're talking conservative Kansas here. The Kansas House passed a bill Thursday that would decrease penalties for marijuana possession, allow the limited production and sale of hemp oil, and study uses for industrial hemp. The House also passed compromise, some other energy bills. So what is this? Is this a new examination from one of our conservative, almost Bible Belt-ish states? Larry Gabriel.
Well, it seems that it is, but it's if you take a look at even these CBD-only laws that are coming through, the majority of the states have already made some legal accommodation to marijuana. And so this is working its way across the country. Again, public opinion is a majority in favor of marijuana. So, we're going to see this stuff coming out. And, yes, people are conservative, but you know what? Everybody's got a cousin who had cancer or a brother who has, epilepsy. And people are learning that marijuana is not the boogeyman that they grew up with.
Maria Green, is the Bible Belt loosening it?
I think that's what we were talking about with the Texas and the fact that a lot of Christians can get behind this idea that God made this plant, I think is starting to loosen up a lot of the other states in the Bible Belt, like you said. This one in particular is interesting to me because, and I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it was Kansas, that just in March, a woman who had been treating herself with cannabis oil, whose son went to school and talked about the benefits of cannabis oil, and he ended up being removed by the CPS agents down there, and she was raided, and now there's a big legal battle over her story and her son and criminal behavior and that kind of thing. And now we're seeing this legislative action that would essentially remove some of those barriers for her. And I think it's really interesting how those are kind of juxtaposed in the same time frame.
So I just wanted to point out that first and second-time marijuana offenders under this change without serious prior convictions would avoid jail time under the measure. That would decrease the population in the state's overcrowded prisons and save more than $1.7 million, says the publication. So I just wanted to point that out because that's the broader thing, isn't it? Save states bucks by keeping people out of prison for nonviolent drug crimes.
Mm-hmm. That's our goal.
We just got a couple of minutes left. I wanted to ask both of you, well, start with Larry real quick. Do you have anything you wanted to bring up about Michigan?
Well, I think it's very interesting that Proposal 1 just failed by an 80-20 margin in our state electoral system.
So the Proposal 1, for people who don't know, is a Michigan proposal bringing to the ballot an idea that will raise the state sales tax by 1% and fix the roads and also pay for school stuff and also pay for a couple other things that nobody seems to know about.
Yeah. So anyways, I find it interesting because the Michigan legalized people have positioned themselves on this ahead of time. So I guess they were kind of smarter than the governor and the state legislature about what was going to happen with that. And now their proposal actually says 40% of the taxes for legalized marijuana would go towards fixing the roads, which I think might be kind of interesting, and they may get the state voters to say, let the potheads pay for it.
Pot for potholes is Larry's pick. Maria, what you got? We got about a minute left.
I think, in Michigan, we're definitely watching the proposals for the ballots, and we're interested to see, how the language is gonna end up with those. And I think that Peter's right, that this pot for potholes is really the kicker, I think, that's really going to get people behind it.
So you think that this really, the failure of this ballot initiative or this ballot proposal put on by the legislature, nonetheless, because they didn't want to go down on the tax record of saying, hey, I'm a Republican and supported a tax increase. We'll let the voters do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like that you're saying that this is, both of you guys agree that this is a good thing, that this failed, and that'll put pressure on legislators to find money in the marijuana answer.
Absolutely.
So I don't know that it's a good thing that it failed, but it gives an opening to the Michigan legalized people.
Maria Green from Hybrid Life and Larry Gabriel from The American Cultivator, published by My Compassion, as well as our former Rick Thompson, who's no longer with us, from the Compassion Chronicles. Thank you to all of you for coming on the program tonight. We've run out of time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.